The email, subject line, said final notice before lien. Attached were photographs of my front lawn. Photographs taken after the HOA's landscaping trucks had driven across it. They were finding me for damage they caused themselves. And in that moment, standing in my kitchen reading that message, I understood something very clearly. This was no longer about grass. It was about control. Because for weeks, the HOA had been treating my private property like a public road. And when I tried to stop it calmly and reasonably, they didn't reconsider. They escalated. The first time the tire tracks appeared, I honestly thought it was an accident. 2 dark lines cut diagonally across my lawn early one morning. Fresh soil pushed aside. Grass flattened and torn. I assumed a delivery truck had missed the turn. So I fixed it. I replaced the sod. Reset the sprinkler heads. Didn't complain. Didn't notify anyone. I just moved on. 3 days later, it happened again. Same angle. Same path. Deeper ruts this time. That's when I noticed the HOA landscaping truck turning onto the next street, having just crossed my yard like it was nothing more than a shortcut. I walked out and waved the driver down. "Hey," I said calmly, "you can't drive across here. This is private property." He didn't argue. He didn't apologize. He just said, "HOA told us to." That single sentence changed everything. I emailed the HOA management company that afternoon. I included photos, dates, and a simple question. Do you have written authorization or an easement allowing contractors to use my lawn for access? 2 days later, I received a reply. They claimed the lawn was common access land. That didn't sound right. So I checked. I pulled my deed, my property survey, the recorded plat map from the county. The boundary lines were clear. The lawn was mine. No easement. No shared access. No conditional use. I forwarded the documents back to the HOA and asked them to correct the mistake. Their response was short. "We'll look into it." They didn't. The trucks kept coming. Twice a week. Every week. The damage worsened. Sprinkler lines cracked. Mud formed ruts that held water. The grass began to die where tires passed repeatedly. When I submitted a repair request to the HOA, they denied it. Reason: owner caused damage. A week later, I received my first fine for failure to maintain landscaping standards. They were destroying my lawn, then charging me for it. I sent certified letters. I quoted the governing documents, section after section stating that private property could not be altered or used without written consent. No response. Instead, I started receiving violation notices weekly. Grass too short where tires crushed it. Soil erosion where their trucks carved grooves. Irrigation leaks blamed on poor maintenance. The fines stacked up. Then the tone changed. One morning, an HOA board member was waiting in my driveway as I left for work. He smiled, but there was nothing friendly about it. "You're making this more difficult than it needs to be," he said. "The association has options. You know we can place a lien." That night, I couldn't sleep. I ran numbers in my head. Legal costs. Late fees. Worst case scenarios. That's when I stopped reacting emotionally and started preparing properly. I began researching. State property law. Trespass statutes. Contractor responsibility. I found multiple cases where HOAs were held liable for damage caused by vendors acting under HOA instruction. One case mattered more than the rest. The court ruled that repeated unauthorized use of private land constituted trespass, even when done by an HOA contractor, and that intimidation through fines was unlawful retaliation. That was my turning point. I drafted a formal demand letter. Not emotional, not aggressive, just facts, dates, photos, repair estimates, legal citations, a deadline. I sent it certified mail to the HOA board, the management company, and a landscaping contractor. And I installed cameras. The trucks didn't stop, but now everything was documented. Every crossing, every rut, every crushed sprinkler line. Then, one morning, something different happened. Instead of the landscaping truck, a black Cadillac Escalade cut across my lawn. Slowly, deliberately. It was the HOA president. I recognized him instantly. He stopped halfway across the grass, rolled down the window, and told me I was overreacting and holding up maintenance. Then he drove off. That crossing caused the worst damage yet. Near my retaining wall, where decorative stones sat along the edge, the repeated traffic had loosened the ground beneath one of them. A few days later, the Escalade returned. As it crossed the lawn again, the stone shifted. Gravity did the rest. It didn't fly. It didn't launch. It simply rolled straight into the side of the vehicle. Metal buckled. Paint cracked. Glass shattered. No one was hurt, but the Escalade was badly damaged. Everything stopped after that. Within hours, my inbox was full. Demands. Accusations. Threats. I responded once. I sent video footage. Photos. My certified letters. My legal citations. And I attached my demand letter again. 2 days later, their attorney called. Not to threaten. To negotiate. The HOA paid for full lawn restoration, irrigation repairs, and retaining wall replacement. Every fine was removed. The violation history erased. They issued a written apology. They also installed permanent barriers and rerouted all landscaping access through the correct roadway. The HOA never crossed my lawn again. No lien was placed. No charges were filed. And the Escalade repair was handled entirely through their insurance. The lesson here isn't about retaliation. It's about preparation. HOAs rely on homeowners not knowing their rights. On silence. On intimidation. You don't need to be loud. You need to be informed. Know your documents. Know your boundaries. Document everything. Because when you stand on facts instead of fear, even the most aggressive HOA eventually has to step back. If this story resonated with you, subscribe for more real HOA conflict and homeowner rights stories. Share this with someone who's dealing with HOA overreach. And comment below if you've experienced intimidation or unfair enforcement. Your story matters. And knowing your rights is how you protect your home and your peace.